I have the unique privilege on an ongoing basis to be asked by teachers what they can do when nothing seems to work on an underachieving student in their care. And every time I look at that question deeply, the answer that comes to me over and over again is that one, the child didn't give that teacher his consent. The child didn't agree to be empowered. Secondly, I believe that techniques used in empowering that child was the wrong techniques. Techniques that will not work on that particular child, but may have worked on other child. Thirdly, the empowerment need of that child was not met. Fourthly, the age and mental language of the child was probably not considered during the empowerment process. And lastly, skills the child needs to master has not been mastered or were not provided. I speak to you with authority today that if an underachieving student in your care is not improving, even though you have done your best, these are the reasons. As I work as an underachieving student trainer and mentor for the past 7 years, I have come to see this over and over again. Now it's kind of like I can just see through an underachieving student and know immediately why it's not improving. I can come up with ideas that should be used for any underachieving student to get him to improve. You see, when I first started out, I would work with a student and not be sure what next to do. I took it one step at a time. I realized that was a wrong move. By the time it was time to take the next step, I'll be too slow, because I'll be thinking about what the next step should be. But somehow, it dawned on me that I had to plan those steps ahead. I feel obliged to share with you some of my mistakes because in the long run, it's going to save you a lot of stress and time. Let me begin this way. Every student in your care needs a customized empowerment plan. Even if you have 180 students. And the reality is that for each student, the plan has to be different from that of the next student. What this means is that the empowerment process has to be individualized. Also, there is one other thing that you already know, which is you have to get the consent and agreement of each child. You also need to use techniques that work for each child and meet the empowerment need of each student. Also, you have to consider the age and mental language of individual students. And lastly, you have to get the students to master certain skills that student needs to master. If you want your students to be empowered to reach their potential, consider these the cardinal rules that must guide the empowerment process. I understand that in doing all of this, you may become bored and tired and even burn out. But how do you keep that from happening? No one, you have to become incredibly organized. Secondly, you have to focus on students who have given you their consent and agreement. You see, those who haven't consented, you need to focus on getting them to consent first. How do you get them to consent or agree? Just do what we talked about earlier. Just ask. Ask over and over again from time to time. Soon they will come around, especially when they begin to see that you are sincere and you have a plan. Now, thirdly, you have to work with underachievers in group. In as much as you have to prepare individualized or customized empowerment plan for each student, you can put them in one group where each group contains the same kinds of underachievers. For instance, group A may be about energy drainers, group B about passionate, group C about hidden gems, and of course group D about the superstars. And lastly, you have to delegate. You should delegate some tasks to persons who are willing to help you out, such as fellow teachers and even superstars. You may assign a superstar to work an energy drainer through some concept or topic. When you begin to truly empower underachieving students in your care, you see with absolute certainty that it can be fun and fulfilling.